There was a small railway station in a quiet town where life moved slowly, but struggles never did. Everyday trains arrived with loud noise and chaos. People rushed across the platforms carrying heavy bags. Announcements echoed constantly. Footsteps never stopped, and everything seemed to be in motion. Yet, in the middle of all that movement, one life stood completely still. Every morning, near the platform gate, an old man sat silently. His clothes were torn and covered with dust. His beard was rough and untrimmed, but the most striking thing about him was his eyes. They held a strange mix of hope and defeat. Hope that someone might look at him. Defeat because almost no one ever did. His name was Rahim. Most people never noticed his existence. Some walked past him with disgust on their faces. Some pretended he didn't exist. And some dropped a coin into his bowl without even looking at him, as if helping him was just a duty, not an act of humanity. Rahim never begged loudly. He never forced anyone to help him. He simply sat there quietly, watching the world that he once belonged to. But Rahim had not always lived like this. Years earlier, he had a small home on the edge of town. It wasn't fancy, but it was filled with love. The walls were old, yet they echoed with laughter. The roof leaked during the rain, but inside lived a happy family. His wife would wait for him every evening at the door, smiling despite the hardships of life. His little son would run toward him the moment he returned from work, holding his finger tightly and asking innocent questions. Rahim worked as a construction laborer. His hands were strong, his body energetic, and his heart carried simple dreams. His income was small, but every meal they shared together felt special. Life was not perfect, but it was peaceful. Then, one day, everything changed. At the construction site where Rahim worked, a heavy structure suddenly collapsed. Before he could escape, he was trapped under falling debris. He survived, but his injuries were severe. His legs and back were badly damaged, and he could never work the same way again. Medical expenses quickly consumed all his savings. The money he had carefully saved for his son's future disappeared. Debt began to surround his life like a dark cloud. His wife tried to stay strong, but constant stress destroyed her health. Within a year, illness took her life. The day she died, Rahim felt something inside him die as well. His young son, too small to face such struggles, was sent to live with a distant relative who later moved away. Rahim eventually lost contact with him. Within a short time, Rahim lost his family, his work, and the purpose of his life. And slowly, he became just another forgotten face at the railway station. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. People changed. Seasons came and went. But Rahim remained there, silent, invisible, forgotten. Until one afternoon changed everything. Every day around noon, a schoolboy about 12 years old passed through the station on his way home. Unlike others, the boy always looked at Rahim. Not with pity, not with discomfort, but with genuine concern. For several days, he quietly observed him. He noticed how Rahim picked up leftover crumbs from the ground. He noticed how he shivered in the cold. He noticed the loneliness in his eyes. One day, the boy stopped in front of him. He opened his school bag, took out a small lunchbox, and handed it to Rahim. "Grandfather," he said gently, "my mother says no one should stay hungry." Rahim's hands trembled as he accepted the lunchbox. Inside was simple rice and vegetables. To anyone else, it was ordinary food, but to Rahim, it felt priceless. His eyes filled with tears. He had not eaten a proper meal in days. He wanted to thank the boy, but words failed him. From that day, the boy came every afternoon. Some days he brought rice, some days bread and vegetables, sometimes just fruit, sometimes a small sweet. But for Rahim, it was never just food. It was respect. It was care. It was dignity. It was proof that he still mattered. With time, Rahim began waiting for the boy each day. He would repeatedly look toward the road, searching for the familiar school uniform. Whenever the boy appeared, Rahim's tired face would brighten instantly. The boy would sit beside him and talk about school, his teachers, his friends, and his dreams. His name was Aman. Aman often spoke about becoming a doctor one day so he could help poor people. He shared the values his mother taught him and spoke about the struggles his father faced. His words were simple, but his heart was sincere. Slowly, Aman's laughter filled the emptiness in Rahim's life. For the first time in many years, Rahim began to smile again. One day, Rahim gently asked, "Son, why do you help me every day?" Aman smiled innocently and replied, "My mother says when we help someone, God helps us." Rahim's eyes filled with tears. He placed his weak hand on the boy's head and silently prayed for his happiness. From that moment, Rahim no longer felt alone. Then, one cold winter morning, Aman did not come. Rahim waited the entire day. Perhaps he was busy, he thought. The next day, he waited again. But Aman never appeared. Days turned into weeks. The afternoons became painfully empty. The station felt colder than before. Rahim missed not just the food but the warmth of the boy's presence. Finally, he gathered courage and asked a shopkeeper about Aman. The truth shook him deeply. Aman had been injured in an accident while saving a small child from a speeding car. Though he survived, he was seriously hurt, and his family had moved to another city for his treatment. Rahim felt as if the ground beneath him had disappeared. The child who had brought light into his life was gone. That night, Rahim could not sleep. For the first time in years, he cried like a helpless child, not for his own suffering, but for the boy, who had shown him selfless kindness. He kept remembering Aman's smile, his gentle voice, his innocent words. And that night, something changed within Rahim. The next morning, Rahim made a life-changing decision. Instead of begging, he began helping others at the station. He carried passengers' luggage. He guided elderly travelers. He helped lost children find their families. He shared whatever little food he received with those who were even more helpless than him. At first, People were surprised by his transformation, but gradually they began to respect him. Whenever someone asked why he did all this, Rahim simply said, "A child once fed me when I had nothing. I am only passing that kindness forward." Years passed, the railway station had changed, and so had Rahim. He was no longer known as a beggar. People now called him Baba of the station, a man who helped everyone, without expecting anything in return. Travelers trusted him. Shopkeepers respected him. Children greeted him with joy. His life had finally found meaning again. Then, one day, many years later, a well-dressed young man stepped off a train and walked straight toward him. Rahim looked closely. The eyes, the smile, the warmth. It was Aman, now grown into a young man. Without speaking a word, Aman embraced Rahim tightly. Both of them broke into tears. Aman said softly, "Grandfather, my mother told me everything. Your life changed because of a small act of kindness. You showed me the true meaning of humanity." Rahim replied with trembling lips, "No, my son. You saved my life first." That day, two lives completed a beautiful circle of kindness. A simple lunchbox had turned despair into purpose, loneliness into love, and a broken man into a source of hope.